All right, this week the vowel teams that we are talking about are AY, OE, and EE. What does anybody know what AY says? Yeah, it says the A sound. What about OE? Yep, says the O name. And what about EE? It says the E name. Good. So all these are going to say the vowels names. Okay, so we have A, O, and E. Let's decode this word. Give me a thumbs up when you have this word decoded. All right. Let's start with labeling our vowels. We have A and Y. How am I going to label A and Y? Is that two different vowels or is that just going to be labeled as one vowel? Yeah, because it's a vowel team, so it's just going to be counted as one. And we have EE. What about that? Is that two vowels or is that one vowel? One vowel, because that is a vowel team too. So we draw our bridge, connect our vowels. So we only have an S on top of our bridge, so there's only one consonant. So we have a VCV word. So where am I going to split this word? Yeah, in between the first vowel and the consonant. So that's between the Y and the S. All right, what syllable type is this first syllable? It's a vowel team. If there's a vowel team in there, that's the only thing you have to label it. What does AY say? A. So what does that first syllable say? Hey, yes. And then what about this next syllable? What syllable type is this? The vowel team. And what does EE say? E. So how do you say the second syllable? Seed. So how do you say the whole word put together? Hayseed. Good. All right, let's do another one. All right, try that one. All right, let's start with our vowels. O is a vowel. And then I see OE, and I know OE is a vowel team, so that's just going to be one vowel. Connect our vowels. We have an S, which is a consonant, and we have a C, which is a consonant. So if we have a VCCV word, where do I split this word? Between the two consonants, which is S and C. All right, what syllable type is this first syllable? It's not a vowel team. What is it? Yeah, it's a closed. Good. And what about this second syllable? Vowel team. Okay, so what does this O say in the closed syllable? In a closed. Ah, it says it sounds. So this first syllable is going to have the ah. So what does this first syllable say? Ross. Good. And what does OE say? Oh, so what does that second syllable say? Co. So what's our word? Roscoe. Good. All right, last one. All right, this one can be tricky, so pay attention to all your vowels. All right, let's see. Show me with your fingers how many syllables are in this word. Oh, I see a lot of threes, so maybe it didn't trick you. Let's see. All right. We have an I, which is a vowel. We have an A, which is a vowel. And EE, which is a vowel team. So that's just going to be one vowel. All right, when we have more than two vowels, we need to just go vowel by vowel, okay? So we're just going to connect our first two vowels first, and then we'll worry about this one later. Okay, so we have a consonant M and a consonant P. So I have a VCCV here, so I split it between the two consonants. And then I'll come back and label the syllable types. Go on to the next two vowels. So I'm going to connect those two vowels. I have a consonant N and consonant Z. Again, a VCCV. So I split the N and Z there. All right, good. So there's three syllables. What syllable type is this first syllable? Close. Close. What about this next one? Also close. And what about this last one? Vowel team. All right, so if it's a closed syllable, the vowel says what? The name or sound? It says the sound. So that first syllable says what? Chim. Good. What about that second syllable? Pan. And then what does EE say? The vowel team EE? Says E. So that last syllable says what? Z. What's our word? Chimpanzee. Good. All right. All right. Story time. We're going to tell a story as a class together using the following emojis and hashtags. All right. Y'all know what emojis and hashtags are, right? Yeah. Yeah. I thought you did. All right. So we have this emoji. Think about what story we could tell when we put all these emojis together. Kind of like a wizard emoji. Hashtag impossible. Okay. A unicorn. Hashtag magical. A puppy dog. And okay, a magical story. There's a dog talking, so animals talking. Yeah, hashtag other worlds. And it's kind of like a ogre kind of thing. So what genre could I be talking about? What do you think I'm talking about? Ooh, I heard it. Say that again. I don't know who's not fairy tale. Starts with an fantasy. Yes. We're talking about fantasy. Based on the emojis and hashtags we used in our story, okay, we didn't really tell a story, but we were kind of guessing. What fiction genre do you think we're going to learn today? Fantasy. So obviously, fantasy is it fiction or nonfiction? Fiction. There's no such thing as talking animals. They make noises, but they don't actually talk, right? Unicorns, they are in a different world, and there's not different worlds. So that's made up, right? So that's fiction. All right, introducing fantasy. Look at the clues on this picture. They give hints about the traits of fantasy. What do you see? All right, you don't have an elbow partner. Okay, so we have hashtag other worlds, hashtag imaginary characters, make believe, and challenging journey. So, what are some of the traits that you think are of a fantasy? What are some traits you notice? What are some things you're going to see in a fantasy genre? Miranda? Yeah, other world. What else? Well, yeah, there will be talking people, but that's not necessarily fantasy because that happens in real life. But what is fantasy? Talking what? Animal. Yeah, talking animals. Okay. All right. So we have setting, events, and characters. Remember, a fictional story always includes settings, events, and characters. You can't have a story without those three things. All right, let's watch. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear them, but we can watch them and see if we can discover the traits found in this genre. Setting, events, and characters. It'll pull up. All right. Well, who has seen Wizard of Oz? Okay. Some people. All right. So what was the setting of the Wizard of Oz? Where did the story take place? Well, the beginning of the story was at her house, right? But the most of the movie but didn't take place at her house. Where did it was kind of like a dream. Yeah, there it is. I'm working on it. It's freezing up. Many, many miles is the amazing land of it just said it took place in the land of Oz. So that was the setting, was the land of Oz. Can y'all is it really blurry for y'all? Yeah, you probably can't really even see it. It's because it's a very old movie. Okay, well we'll just go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. All right, so those were the Wizard of Oz. Who's seen the Chronicles of Narnia? It's a series. It's a book series too. Yeah. Okay. And what about Harry Potter? Yeah, those are all fantasy. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, um, we aren't able to watch the trailers, but there are settings, events, and characters in each one of those stories that are examples of fantasy. Okay, we're not going to popcorn. All right. So, fantasy, the settings of fantasy. The author of a fantasy story gets to be very creative. Their imagination can take them to any place, anytime, and anywhere. Anything goes because it's a made up. Time travel can take place, past, present, or future. Setting takes place in an unknown location or world in a fantasy story. Okay, so it's unknown because it's made up. Another world or universe, a make believe place, faraway land. Okay, fantasies often have settings of enchanted kingdoms, magical forests, medieval times, so like the times of like the knights that are that fight that have all the armor on, imaginary worlds, or heaven or Hades. Okay, how important we can say on a scale from 5 is the thumbs up, this is the four, this is 3, no, this is 4, sorry, this is only 4. 4 is the thumbs up, this is 3, this is 2, and then the frown, not important, is 1. How important, show me with your fingers, do you think the setting is in a fantasy story? How important is setting in a fantasy story? Show me with your fingers. 4 is super important, 1 is not important. Okay, I see a lot of 4s. I agree. I agree that the setting is very important in the story of a fantasy. All right, events. Fantasies have a narrative story structure. What is a narrative? What does that mean? What does narrative mean? Someone is telling the story. Yeah. The person that is telling the story is not in the story. That's a narrative. Somebody else is telling the story. It's not a character in the story. Okay, the plot line is important in the fantasy. Fantasies all have have all the main parts of a plot line. Remember the roller coaster we talked about, where it was the beginning, like where we talked about Jack and Jill went up the hill and we showed all of the resolution and the problem. Okay, there it is. Exposition, the rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Now, those are all parts of a plot of a story. Common plots in a fantasy can be there's a fight between good and evil. Which one of those, The Wizard of Oz, Harry Potter, or Chronicles of Narnia, which one of those could be an example of a fight between good and evil? It could kind of be all of them, right? Wizard of Oz was the fight between good and evil, the good witch and then the evil witch. Harry Potter, I don't really know Harry Potter, but there is a fight between good and evil. And then Chronicles of Narnia, there's a fight between the kids and then the evil person who wants to take over Narnia. Okay. There's use of magic and make believe. And good prevails over evil. What does prevail mean? What does that mean? Good prevails over evil. Okay, the good wins. Yeah, good prevails means good wins over the evil. And I believe you. You're my Harry Potter expert. All right, most fantasies have very exciting events because they are make believe and anything can happen. Events are usually centered around a hero's exciting journey, battling monsters, stopping evil spells, and the events often include magic, sorcery, and the supernatural. Events will include something impossible, but may or may not include magic. So magic is included, but sometimes it's not included. All right, here we go again. Give me a 4, 3, 2, or 1 on how important the events of a fantasy are. How important are events of a fantasy? Yeah, I agree. 4 again. The events of a fantasy are super important because you're not going to have a storyline without events happening, right? And last but not least, the characters. Main characters in a fantasy story are usually human heroes. They fight in a battle between good versus evil. They could be good or they could be evil. We have our hero versus our villain. Let's take a look at the many characters of fantasy. So we have unicorns, could be a character, talking animals, lizards, witches, humans with powers, fairies, elves, trolls, and goblins. These characters belong in a fantasy because they are all imaginary. None of these things are real. You will never see any of these things in real life in person. Okay, yeah, talking plants. That could, yeah, that's definitely make believe. All right. All right, give me a 4, 3, 2, or 1 on how important the characters are in a story, in a fantasy story. Yeah, this is pretty important to have characters in a story, right? We got to have a main character to follow. All right, good. Perfect timing. We have 3 minutes left. Okay. For attendance, I want you to type in your favorite fantasy movie. And then I will see you back at 10 o'clock for math. Favorite? Okay. I'll turn it on. Sorry. Okay, it's on. Jurassic Park. I would think Jurassic Park would be more of a science fiction because there's no magic or talking animals or anything in it. Just give it a second, let it load. Yes, Miranda. So you do have Wi-Fi. You're fine.